And so I'll start off by inviting Thandisizwe Chimurenga to share some thoughts about her answers.
Thank you so much. Maraming salamat to all of you all. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you so much for convening this. This is wonderful. This is beautiful. And I'm so honored and humbled to be here with all of you. How is Filipina X freedom tied to Black liberation? You have to excuse me. I'm looking at my notes over here because I only have 5 minutes. So I don't want to speak too fast, but I do want to be conscious of the time. How is it tied to Black liberation? When Black people get free, we all get free. When Black people get free, we all get free. We see what is happening in this country. We see it every single day. Think about all the videos that you've seen. Think about when there has been no video. Think about the things you have seen in your own neighborhoods or the things that people have told you about, right? That's just police violence. Law enforcement and police are only one institution that seeks to murder us with impunity. Healthcare also seeks to murder us, murder our bodies. Education and media seek to murder our minds. Macroaggressions, microaggressions, they seek to murder our spirit. So the fight against white supremacy is something that you will also gain from. Anti-Blackness, not just racism, not just white supremacy, but the disgust and disdain for Black people. What Afro-pessimists talk about, which comes from slavery. Being a slave is the antithesis of being human, right? Our humanity is consistently denied. Anti-Blackness. So how is the freedom tied? When you free Black people, you free everyone. Why should you fight for Black liberation is the question. Why should Filipinos, Filipinas, Filipinxs fight for Black liberation? I have 3 reasons for you. One of the reasons that my sister Allison talked about earlier, empathy. There's another word that's called altruism, the belief or practice of disinterested and selfless concern for the well-being of others. Now, empathy means you feel for others, right? But what about altruism, where it's just the right thing to do? I don't necessarily have an interest. I know that this is morally what needs to be done. When we talk about morality, we're talking about those questions of right and wrong that a society has decided for itself. This is right, this is wrong, this is good, this is evil, right? It's a theoretical framework, altruism. But if that doesn't work for you, if altruism does not work for you, then perhaps we need to talk about anti-imperialism. The opposite of disinterest would be self-interest. You physically, literally get free by fighting against imperialism. What am I talking about? I'm talking about the imperialism of the United States of America over the Philippines, an imperialism that took shape in the late 1800s, early 1900s, the 1899 war that ended between Spain and the Philippines, and then the United States took over. Spain and the United States are having a discussion and leaving out the Philippine people. The Philippine people said, I'm sorry, we don't want you up in here neither. We're going to fight against you to be free. And so the United States of America, which just 30 years before allowed Black troops to fight in the Civil War, they send those troops over to the Philippines. And the people, the brothers, primarily Black men, see the horrors and they see the terrors being inflicted upon the Filipino people. And they see the Filipino people, the revolutionaries, say to them, they're lynching you in Georgia. Why are you over here fighting me? I am not your enemy. And so many of those same Black men defected. The most famous, of course, we know is David Fagan, who was a corporal who rose to be a captain in the Philippine Army. That Black man, that soldier for United States imperialism, cast his lot consciously with the Filipino people. So did many other soldiers. And because of that, a bounty was placed upon his head. They wanted him dead. Not necessarily because he was teaching them how to fight. Filipino people know how to fight. You don't need Black people for that. But it was the audacity. How dare you? And it was the model, what that could show to other people. They don't want people to see that. us fighting against the United States in solidarity with others, right? So in addition to that actual physical solidarity, you also had Black people over here talking about the United States does not need to engage in this war of imperialism with the Philippines. People like Ida B. Wells saying, until the US government protects Black people, you don't need to be going no place else, getting in nobody else's business, right? You hear W.E.B. Du Bois criticizing white soldiers for running through Filipino women, impregnating them and leaving the babies, leaving the women and the children to grow up in squalor. You hear Bishop Henry McNeil Turner of the African Methodist Episcopal Church speaking with disdain over Black soldiers, some of whom he personally knew. How could you go over there and fight for this filthy rag, the red, white, and blue? How could you do something like that, right? So if empathy, if altruism, if anti-imperialism, which imperialism is the subjugation and the colonization and the actual taking of lands and their resources, and understanding that people are a resource also. People are a resource also. The colonizing of not only land, but of bodies, not only the natural resources on the land, but those actual bodies as workers who are exploited. If the fight against that form of imperialism, anti-imperialism, if anti-imperialism doesn't work for you, if altruism, if empathy does not work for you as a reason to fight for Black liberation, then I have one last one for you, and that would be, help me out with the pronunciation. Is it Aetas or the Etas, Aetas, First People of the Philippines, also known as Negritos? You all are familiar with who the Aetas are? You're familiar with who those people are? Then I don't need to say any more in terms of a reason to fight for Black liberation. Thank you so much for your time.